figure it out, man. Like, it's computer. You should know these things by now.
That's not even a little bit true.
It's kind of true.
No more rhymes now. I mean it.
Anyone want a peanut?
Y'all are weak. Does anybody want a peanut?
Oh,
yes.
My goodness.
Y'all are weak because you've succumbed to call and response. I was just correcting you.
Oh, wow. Well, that went live on the air with anyone want a peanut.
Yep.
Oh, my goodness.
Hey, I knew the difference. I was about to tell you were both wrong. The Baggins beat me to it.
I have quoted that movie from beginning to end without the movie.
Sounds like
Oh
my
my.
sister in Labyrinth.
Actually, no, for me it was Spaceballs, but only the edited for TV version.
What? Wait, have you seen the actual version?
Yes,
Yeah.
well, most of it. I stopped watching it because it was so dirty.
All right, then.
I genuinely think the edited for TV version is funnier.
You know,
They actually reshot some of the scenes for the.
really? I wasn't
That
aware
doesn't
of that.
surprise me at all.
And up until recently, they weren't available on YouTube, but now they are actually available on YouTube.
The edited for TV version? Nice.
Yep. Well, not the whole movie, just those scenes that got changed.
Ah, okay. That makes sense. Yeah.
One moment.
I mean,
We've given you enough
can take
time.
I'm with breakfast on this. Onwards into the
Is-
great wide open.
No, we will not go quietly into the night. We will not go
more
down
into the
without a
breach.
fight.
Okay.
I think he's needing to hit play on the video, but
No, that's not the problem. I'm just doing my trying to find what my activation volume needs to be.
12.
Okay, I think I got it.
See, Kami was right.
You would have claimed it no matter what, so.
I mean, I would have, but that doesn't mean that I wasn't right.
I mean, what is up with your profile pic?
Me?
Yeah.
That's him.
That's me.
I like the beard.
Thank you.
I don't recall him looking like that.
That's what I looked like at one point in my life, and then I just recreated it in Hero Forge because I have a subscription to it. And I've recreated all of my friends, including Splice, as a zombie.
You know, I'm still not
You
convinced.
have not
Homicide has a
recreated
corporeal
me.
Form.
Well, I've never met you in real life, so I don't actually have like an idea as to what you look like. I mean, I've always had.
Have you seen a
sense
picture of
that-
Brandon Sanderson?
He actually
I
does
have.
look a lot like me.
Yeah, Bill and Brett both look. They've been confused as brothers.
Oh, okay. All right.
We've been
I mean, that's-
confused as me.
I mean, that's better than the pile of hash browns
Yeah.
that's just
We've been-
always sitting in a chair when I imagine him talking to us.
I've been confused for Bill, but Bill has never been confused for me.
I have
I've-
never confused.
I've just been
the two of
confused.
you.
Ouch.
You're offended that I've never mistook you for for Bill?
No, I'm offended that Bill was confused by me.
Ah,
I didn't say by you. I just said I'm confused.
Bill, I think your voice activation might be a little low. I'm hearing clicks and clacks.
That's because I'm clicking and clacking.
Yes, I'm saying we shouldn't hear those.
No.
I didn't hear.
All right, got that. All right, I am ready. Looney, get ready because I'm going to throw it to you first.
all right.
So, whenever you make a gaming purchase, you have all these hopes and dreams for the game, and then something sometimes makes it so that game was not ideal. Maybe maybe it's just something that you were in the wrong mindset. Maybe it was just not the game for you, or maybe it was just a weird confluence and you had buyer's remorse. Lunasar, what's a game you regret buying?
Well, one that I regret, and I actually did sell to trade in for another game, was actually Illusion of Gaia, which I have nothing against Illusion of Gaia. I really enjoyed it, but it was more of an opportunity cost thing. Because it was my birthday, and I had to choose one game. And of course, the two games that were out at the time that I had an interest in was Illusion of Gaia and Final Fantasy III, also known as Final Fantasy VI. And instead of making the decision, I just told my parents pick one of the two, and they picked Illusion of Gaia, which I enjoyed. But after 3 days, I had 100%ed it, and I had nothing else to do. And, you know, when we were a kid, we didn't have a giant backlog back then. I wanted a game with more meat on it. And,
Yeah, Steam hadn't been invented yet.
yeah. And so I realized I made the wrong decision and that I should have gotten Final Fantasy III. And so
I thought you said you were getting Final Fantasy VI.
Same game, dude. Though the SNES cartridge says Final Fantasy III on it. But yeah, Final Fantasy VI. And so I eventually did trade it in to a used game shop, traded in Illusion of Gaia, and bought Final Fantasy 3/6. And that game lasted me much, much longer than 3 days. That was a very meaty, amazing game. So I don't, like, I love Illusion of Gaia, and once I was an adult and had, you know, a job, I wanted to get it back. And I'm trying to think if I actually have it now or not, if I did do that. But it's a good game, but it was the wrong choice when it came to this in Final Fantasy VI.
Illusion of Gaia is an interesting one to me, because a lot of people don't realize it's actually part of a very loose trilogy. And in the trilogy, Illusion of Gaia is easily the best known of the games.
Okay, I was about to ask, is that part of the Soul Blazer series
It
you
is.
had me play a while back?
Yes. Hold on. So it's like Nintendo boosted Illusion of Gaia like crazy, it felt like. I remember at one point I actually got like an Illusion of Gaia color change mug. It was all over Nintendo Power when it first came out. And it felt like Nintendo was like saying, okay, this is going to be a darling. And it was a little bit disappointing, but yeah, it's interesting to me because it's the best known of that trilogy. It's the middle one of the trilogy, but it's also, in my opinion, the worst of the three games.
Oh, even worse than Soul Blazer, huh?
I love Soul Blazer. Don't say worse than Soul Blazer because that's a great game.
Well, I don't know. I haven't played Soul Blazer, but
yeah,
I thought the impression I had was that Soul Blazer was good, Illusion of Gaia was better, and Terra Enigma was even better. So I'm surprised to know that you swapped the Soul Blazer and Illusion of Gaia in that order.
Like I don't think Illusion of Gaia was necessarily a bad game, but of the three, I definitely enjoyed the other two more.
Interesting.
Now the third one, Terra Enigma, is one of my favorite games. Period. Especially on the SNES. It's just, or I guess, but unfortunately, it only came out in Europe and Japan, not in the US. So.
I've never heard of any of these games.
They're not really the sort of games I would recommend to you. They're just, I mean, you're playing a few more RPGs and action RPGs lately, so maybe around now I would recommend, but earlier I'd never would have. Just because they're very much action RPGs.
Gotcha.
So.
Yeah, I actually. Just this last month, almost bought Soul Blazer and Terra Enigma off of eBay.
Oh.
If I was paying closer attention,
do you have a box that could play Terra Enigma?
Well, yeah, I guess it would have been a PAL version.
It's definitely a PAL version.
Yeah, I don't know if that actually would have. No, yeah, yes, I think my Retro Duo portable could probably play it.
Retro Duo was portable. Maybe I have a Retro Duo and it will not, like, there's like 8 games that it won't play that are PAL, and Terra Enigma is one of them.
Really? Oh,
yes.
Maybe
Why
I
is
wouldn't
that?
have had a.
I don't know. I just know that it won't play. Like
It's
I was looking up. And it's like, well, like,
Well, Retro Duo Portable don't care, but
and Retro Duo will play mostly PAL or NTSC, but Terranigma, there's like a list of 10 or 20 games, and Terranigma is on that list of games that it won't play.
Yeah, so maybe I didn't even have anything I could have played it on, but yeah. But I missed out on it. I didn't get it, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not necessarily something that I condone, but when I was younger, I would sail the high seas from time to time.
I catch your drift.
On the high seas. Ha
My high school mascot was the Buccaneer. I figured I was just, showing school spirit.
Right.
It's important to show school spirit. Kamizite, what's a game you regret buying?
Well, I'm going to say something that's probably going to shock everyone. Because I made you get it, actually. Baldur's Gate 3. I know. Crazy. Especially considering I was playing it right before we started doing all of this. But it's kind of context. Because when it actually came out, I loved it. But when I bought it, it was very disappointing. Did I ever tell you guys the story behind how I ended up with Baldur's Gate 3 years before it came out?
No.
So, it is my birthday, and as you do on your birthday, not today, but then.
You lied to me.
I did. But
it's a thing he's doing. He's telling lies.
I always do. Come on, I'm Loki, guys.
Tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies.
Don't get us demonetized.
Copyright.
I had some
It's too
libations,
close.
we'll say. And
you? No.
No, not me. Why? But I had been drinking, and I decided at some point in the evening, I want a new game. So I go onto Steam, as you do in this day and age, and there, right on the front page was Baldur's Gate 3. I was like, oh, this is out. Cool. And it's only $40. Awesome. I buy it. I download it. I start to play it. Go back and forth for a couple of days, and then I start realizing, I don't seem to be leveling past 4. Let me check out a little. Oh, I can't level past 4. Oh, this is early access. And then I look over 12 hours. Welp. And then it just became this thing where every year annually I would install Baldur's Gate 3, see if I could get past level 4, not get past level 4, uninstall it, go about the rest of my year. And it was just, for 3 years, just an extreme disappointment because I love Dungeons and Dragons, I was looking forward to the game, but my dumbass, in a drunken haze, bought
Language, sir.
Oh, fair enough, sorry. But I bought it. Didn't realize that it was early access. Completely my fault, by the way. And it was just that realization a couple of days after that I had made a purchase that I wouldn't have made otherwise. I mean, I still would have gotten Baldur's Gate 3 years later. And it did turn out better for me. But in the moment, man, I was crushed because I was looking forward to this big, long game and seeing what they were going to do with because this was, I believe, the first official Hasbro game going under the 5th edition rules. There may have been another. But this was the one that was getting all the hype around it. Plus, it's the Baldur's Gate franchise.
Mm-hmm.
And, just realizing and then constantly being reminded every time that I tried to play it again that, nope, you get to go this far because this is just you bought early access, so you're a play tester. Just
early access, I feel, can absolutely ruin a game experience.
I 100% agree.
But it can also really make a game.
It absolutely can make a game, and it can even boost hype. For some people, I think it's awesome. For other people, though, it's just you do not want to do early access. It will ruin the game for you.
Well, it also depends on the game, too, because, I think the game that on Steam I've logged the most hours into is still in early access, Satisfactory. I love that game. And
that's still in early access?
Yeah, they're going to
know that.
They're going to have the full release this year, but it's fully playable. It's just that they You can do most things. It's just the actual storyline of the game is held until the official release, but the actual building your factories is in the early access, and it's just grown and been awesome.
Well, I mean, I think over half of us in this group, we played Minecraft together during the alpha phase.
That's true. We did.
It's still one of my favorite things as far as like how
It
old
was
I
such
am.
a good time.
I just love telling people that I played Minecraft before there was damage, because that's just not a statement that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Well,
But yeah.
and then even after they added damage, it was a while before they added hunger.
But like
It was a long while before they added hunger.
Yeah.
But both of those games, the thing that's in common is they're more of a sandbox game, And so I think sandbox games, it's a lot easier to get away with early
True.
access, whereas a very story-focused game like Baldur's Gate 3, that I could see why that'd be such a massive disappointment.
I mean, I will give them this much. From the levels that I played over and over again, they were completely different in the final release. And so there were some stuff that was the same, but there was a lot of stuff which changed quite a bit for it to be new and exciting. So I wasn't sleepwalking my way through the first act. So I mean, there was at least that, but that led me into another theme that I found in my adult life for disappointing games, which is why when we were pre-gaming this, I also put in Triangle Strategy and Octopath Traveler as two games that disappointed me. And again, this isn't like the games themselves,
Gasp shock. This is completely new information.
right? But it was just like, these are games that 20-year-old me would have just ripped up and just loved to death. But like me, in the limited window of free time that I've got between all of the other stuff that I do, like just somewhere like that kind of game just lost interest with me. And so it was very disappointing. Both from I spent money on this, but from this
So
isn't who I am anymore.
I've gotten through all 8 stories on Octopath Traveler now, and I have thoughts on it at this point. I have very mixed feelings
Okay.
because each of the individual stories is very interesting. My biggest complaint is within the stories, there is absolutely zero interaction between characters. The only exception being like there are little vignette scenes that like during certain parts, depending on who you have in your party, it'll say push this button to see a scene or like banter is what they called it, I think. And it'll basically be the two characters on a, just a featureless backdrop, and they'll talk about what just happened. But in the actual in-story cutscenes and everything, the other characters just don't exist. Like they may as well not even be there. And so it's just sort of these stories are very good. It feels kind of flat.
No, I see what you're saying, because they couldn't guarantee who was going to be in your party, so they
Exactly.
And it sounds like they didn't hide it as well as, say, Final Fantasy VI did. Final Fantasy VI hid that fact really well, and you have to be paying attention to notice.
I mean, there are some games where, depending on who you have, the conversation will deviate slightly. Like one of them will chime in, and I'm just like, okay, this is kind of cool.
But there's Chrono Cross, where they made the accent generator, so anyone could say anything, but they still made it somewhat unique to that character in how they said it.
But in this one, they may as well not even be there. Like there are parts where it's just like, there are scenes where it's like it's clear that they are alone, and I'm like, this makes no sense.
Yeah, I can see that.
So
it was something I liked about. That's one of the things I liked about the Shadow Broker DLC in Mass Effect 2 in the final
Mass
conference.
Mass Effect did a great job with that sort of thing.
Yeah, but specifically in the Shadow Broker, because you will always have Shepard and I forget her name. Yara, that's it.
Liara.
Yeah, Liara. And then whoever you bring, like the Shadow Broker will have a different dialogue for whoever your third party member is, expressing surprise or shock at, I'm interested you brought them. I thought you would have gone with, this. Do you know about, and it's just some tidbit trying to sow contention usually.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of work to do that, but
Yeah.
it's nice when they do it.
But it pays off, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
But Mass Effect was another disappointment, though, in the end.
No.
Because if you remember,
Oh, yeah.
But only
The
in the
hype-
very end.
and only in the very end, but man, when you sit there and your entire gimmick is, man, we've got this trilogy, you're going to play these games, and things that you did all the way back in the first scene of the first game is going to have consequences in the last scene of the last game. It's all a thing. And then it's not.
Well, the
Well,
consequences were
Cherry,
a number.
lime, or blueberry flavor.
Yeah, it's like, okay.
Well, there's
You-
the
you-
number, but you could boost the number by playing the online multiplayer.
We could have an entire other segment on online multiplayer and how that's ruined gaming, but that's a different show, I think.
Yeah.
Sure. Even though
But-
I will admit, the online multiplayer for that game was really fun. But
What are you talking about? This has been planned since Warcraft 3.
No, but I still don't regret buying Mass Effect 3. It destroyed my willingness to go through it again the way I had all the
yeah.
others.
Oh yeah,
I'm with you
Andromeda wasn't
100%
even on
there.
my radar. No desire to buy Andromeda. It's done.
I
bought
love watching memes for Andromeda.
I bought Andromeda. It was on sale for like $6 or $7, though.
I pre-ordered it. I got the super pack. I got the loot crate, and I got the extra loot crate with the hoodie that shows up in the game in my size. So,
Wow.
I mean, I say that Mass Effect disappointed me, and it did. Like, for what they advertised, they did not deliver on it. But I decided, oh, please take me back, Kami. All right, Mass Effect, I can't stay mad at you.
I can.
And once
Stay
again,
mad.
they let me down.
You're more forgiving than me, apparently.
I haven't
That
played.
sounds like a toxic relationship, man.
It was.
Or have I
absolutely
played
was.
the DLC for 2?
Oh, I enjoyed the DLC for 2.
It wasn't available on through the means by which I purchased it because I purchased it so late and it wasn't available on Steam.
Well,
I was
it's
never able to
included.
get
It's
a hold-
included in the Mass Effect trilogy.
I think you can buy it now. I think it's back on Steam.
Yeah, but it still requires Origin Lite.
Oh, does
and
it? Oh,
still
wow.
Stubbornly,
I don't remember
still
that. Maybe it
stubbornly
does,
refuse
huh?
to install Origin.
That was the biggest problem with 3 is that it didn't need Origin.
Yeah.
But
So
That's
Breakfast-
why I never played it because Mass Effect 3 was one of the first games that was Origin exclusive for EA. And because of the disastrous rollout that the Origin rollout was, I swore off EA games from that day, and I have never purchased an EA game since then.
You're not the only one. I have EA games, but they've all been like Twitch games. Hey, here's a
Okay,
code.
there are 2 EA games that have been purchased for my account since then. One was a gift, which was the Command and Conquer Remastered series, because it doesn't require the Origin Lite, and they released it with the source code. And the other was a used copy of Need for Speed Most Wanted 2005, which was a physical copy and doesn't require any online services.
do you have any games you regret buying, Breakfast?
I do have one game there are 2 actually, although whether or not I regret the second one is still up for debate because it hasn't been released yet, but regret is creeping in. The one that I do regret buying is not actually because I dislike the game. On the contrary, it was one of my favorite games growing up as a child. The game is fantastic. But when I got to the store that day, I could only buy one game, and there were 2 games that I really wanted.
The
Those
same
2
problem as
games-
Lee.
Those 2 games were TIE Fighter, the Complete Collection, and Wing Commander, the Kilrathi Saga.
Ooh, wow. Those were competing together at the same time. Wow.
Those were competing together at roughly the same time.
Sorry, what was the first one?
TIE Fighter.
TIE Fighter, right.
The complete TIE Fighter collection. So it was TIE Fighter and the 2 expansions.
Which one
The
did
other
you
was
buy?
Wing Commander, the Kilrathi Saga. Ended up going with TIE Fighter. And I regretted it for years. For multiple reasons. The primary reason? The game was incompatible with my computer. And nothing I did could get it to run. For many years, tricks and tips and tweaks and upgrades, I tried to get this game to run on my computer, and it stubbornly refused to do so.
Well,
I couldn't play it.
that's a different issue than we've tended to have.
Eventually, many years later, I would eventually be able to get it running. And in fact, today, I can get it running. Because DOSBox is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
It is wonderful.
Huzzah.
If it requires a few extra clicks. But there are other reasons that I regret that I did not buy the Kilrathi Saga for Wing Commander. The Kilrathi Saga was a remastering of Wing Commanders 1 and 2 and a re-release of Wing Commander 3, all packaged together in a single box set.
Nice.
Wing Commander 2 was a game that I previously had struggled trying to get running on my computer for many years. I loved the first game, and of what little I could play of Wing Commander 2, I loved it as well. I had never played Wing Commander. Wanted to, because it was the finalization of the war between the Terran Confederation and the Kilrathi Empire. But another factor that would later make itself be revealed is the Kilrathi Saga sold very poorly. And the next time I was allowed to purchase a game, TIE Fighter was still an option, but the Kilrathi Saga was nowhere to be seen. And in the early and mid 2000s, especially after eBay became a thing, the Kilrathi Saga would routinely go for $300 because those three Wing Commander games have never been re-released until GOG became a thing.
Man.
And even then, the GOG version of the Wing Commander series for 1, 2, and 3 are not the remastered versions that were released in the Kilrathi Saga. They are the original DOS versions that were originally released. So, and the Kilrathi Saga was an updated version that would run with early Windows 95. It was built specifically for that system. So it would have been more compatible with my computer. So for many reasons...
'Tis a shame.
I regretted having not gotten the Kilrathi Saga, and to this day, I have never been able to get a hold of a copy. I mean, I easily could have, because it is now available on GOG, but I still have not played Wing Commander 3.
That's just sad.
That's the worst thing I've ever heard.
Until you hear Baggins' story.
So my story is, I feel like many of us are kind of breaking what the spirit of the request, because rather than talking about games that we genuinely don't know why we bought and, what is this? We're talking about games that we did enjoy, but just in the circumstance we bought it. And I kind of follow the same pattern.
I'll make up for it.
I do have one coming up after.
Yeah,
because but
mine is
mine
is another game that was one of my absolute favorites growing up, and that was The Secret of Mana. I adored this game. I don't regret buying it. I regret the way in which I bought it because I was a foolish child. So my first exposure to this game was going over to my friend Pip's house, and we played it over there, and I just absolutely fell in love with the game. He owned it, and I just absolutely loved it. And then he ended up selling it to a mutual friend of ours in our class at school. And this mutual friend, he played it for a bit, didn't really care about it, and he offered to sell it to me. Now I was foolish because I did very little research. And basically, I ended up buying the game from him for $80
Oh,
in the early 90s.
oh,
Yes.
is he still your friend?
Oh gosh, no, I haven't spoken to him. I was in 6th grade, so that would have been 93, and I don't think we even were in any classes together after that.
For being the third owner?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I'm pretty
that's
sure
more
it's
than
breaking
new.
the bro code.
Oh, I know. I'm very aware of this. This is one of those things I didn't realize until years later how badly taken advantage of I had been.
Wow.
So, I still have my copy, but Looney, I may need to come to you at some point to get a new battery put into it because it is not holding saves anymore.
Ah. Okay.
But I mean, like
That's not a
phenomenal
tragedy.
game.
That's just betrayal.
It is. It absolutely is.
Yeah. Oof.
I don't
What
know
was
that
his
I've
name
ever
again?
spoke. I don't even remember.
I don't even remember. You're a bad friend. And may the great nameless storm drown you and wash you out to sea, so that the last thing that you taste before the crushing depths take you is salt and brine.
So interesting story. He probably will never know the curse that you sent his way. He actually was deaf.
Oh, well.
So
Now you don't know what to do.
I mean, what do you do with that? I mean, this is audio. I can't sign.
What we just heard here was Baggins laying a very careful verbal bear trap for someone to step into.
no, it was actually interesting because like I didn't realize how much of a punk he was. The first clue I got that he actually might be a punk is when I mentioned the transaction to his interpreter who came in, and she just rolled her eyes and was just like, oh, he was like crowing about that. And I was just like, oh. So that was sort of my first clue that something might have been up with it. I didn't fully process what had happened until years later.
Man.
But yeah, like that should have been an indication. Oh, this kid's kind of a punk.
Kid Shifty, back to you.
Man. And I guess you didn't get the Funko Land catalogs to keep track on prices at that time.
I didn't get anything. I got the cartridge. That was it.
Man.
I didn't even get an SNES game sleeve.
Oh, not even the little plastic.
Not even the little plastic sleeve.
Ouch. That's oof. No box, no. Oh man. No manual, no plastic sleeve. That is rough.
No box, no manual, no plastic sleeve.
No plan.
And the save games were all filled with, like, the characters had been named like obscenities.
Wow.
Yep.
Well, geez. All
So
right.
the game itself I love. The buying of it is a regret.
Yeah. I will say the PS4 remake, it's not really a remake, it's just more of a no, it's a full on remake, but it was good, though the hitboxes are kind of wonky.
I've got it on Steam.
But yeah, I went through the whole thing with my son, which was fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to go through it again. It's been several years since I last went through it. And I need to go through Seiken Densetsu 3 again.
You know, one thing I find kind of interesting is on this list, we've now mentioned like 2 action RPGs, and I have another one that was from the Super Nintendo era, and I actually think this one, I enjoyed the game well enough, but it was kind of one of those, it didn't last. Like after 3 days I was done with it. I didn't have anything more to do. And I also think it was like an $80 game. Like I think it was more expensive than usual. And I can't remember if I saved up money for this one or if I got it for birthday or Christmas, but it was overpriced. But the game was called Spike McFang, The Twisted Tales of Spike McFang. Have you heard of that one, Baggins?
The name is familiar, but I don't remember much.
I think he's making it up.
Yeah.
No, I know it's a real game.
it's a real game, and I think it sold hardly any copies, but I regretted it because, once again, it wasn't meaty enough for me to do it, and I think I might have traded it in as well as Illusion of Gaia to get Final Fantasy VI. I think I traded in both those games to get it. But the interesting thing is I actually have regret now in trading it in just because of how rare and expensive of a game that is now. Like, if you look on Amazon now, the majority of what you'll find are reproduction cartridges of Spike McFang. Right. And to actually find a real cartridge, it's like $500 at least.
Jeez.
So kind of wish I still had it, but I don't know. It was kind of a fun game. It was supposed to be kind of a cutesy vampire game where you drink tomato juice to restore your health, you know? And even though you're a vampire... Huh?
Was it The Adventures of Count Duckula?
No.
Count Duckula.
No, it's Spike
I just dated myself with that one, fam.
But even though you're a vampire, you didn't use normal vampire powers to attack. No, you threw your magic hat that boomeranged back, and that was like how you fought. And you had like magic spells that you got as well.
So you were Oddjob Jr.
Yeah, you were a vampire Oddjob Jr. made to look kind of cutesy.
There's an elevator pitch like that you'll never hear again.
Yeah, you'll never hear that elevator pitch again. But, I mean, it wasn't a terrible game. It wasn't a great game. I kind of wish I still had it just because it's like a $500 rare game. But I kind of regretted it because it was one of those... I mean, back in those days, when I bought a game, I wanted to be playing it for like 2 months solid, you know? Mm-hmm. And when it's like, wow, I've done everything there is to do, and I've only had the game less than a week, any one of those games is just, you know, quick. I kind of regret this, you know? So I made the wrong choice. But, yeah, that was another one of mine in the Super Nintendo era.
Well, do we want one that actually like holds the spirit of the topic at hand?
Yeah, and I've got it right here.
Okay.
So, Nintendo Switch Sports. I bought this thing because when it showed it was coming out and it had online play for bowling, I mentioned this to my family and they're like, oh, that'd be a fun thing to do. And so I got it because it sounded like they were going to buy it. They made it sound like they were going to buy it. And then when I brought it up, they're like, oh, no, we didn't buy it. And so I played it for 1 hour and it just sits on my shelf and makes me frustrated when I notice it.
Huh. I didn't even know this was a thing.
Yep. It's, first of all, it's stupid because it's not Mii's. It's these weird...
At first I thought you meant 1-2 Switch, but no.
No, Nintendo Switch Sports. Don't get me wrong. I actually like what are the Switch controllers called? The
Joy-Cons.
Joy-Cons, thank you. The Joy-Cons actually, the motion for it is actually pretty dang good. It's definitely better than the Wiimotes were. But it's just one of those things. Like I got it for the online play to play with like my sisters, and then they just left me standing there holding the bag. Plus, the game's just not that good.
The loyalty.
I know.
The loyalty?
There is no loyalty. No, the more controversial one for me is a story everyone here has heard a couple times. I really regret buying Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
I believed watching
Breath of the Wild I don't regret so much as the sequel.
Yeah, I'm with you a little bit.
Yeah, for me the bigger issue is because I thought just everyone said how much they loved it, and so I'm like, oh, there's no way I won't love it. And then I watched a bunch of gameplay videos of people just messing around, and I'm like, oh, this will be fun. And then I didn't take into account, Jordan, you don't tend to like open world games, and you don't tend to mess around the way these people do. And it just did not click with me.
Well, and you hate item management. And
I despise item management.
And the weapon item management. I mean, the weapon item management in that game is so atrocious that Mass Effect 1 has an amazing item management system by comparison.
Wait, you don't like the Mass Effect?
Well, Jordan...
No, I just don't like min-maxing. It's fine. I just stick with the same weapons and there's no issue.
No, but I was going to say, Looney, don't you love the...
Yeah, he
didn't
does.
you enjoy the item management in Mass Effect?
Oh, I did enjoy the item management in Mass Effect.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
why
he'd switch ammo between shots.
Yeah, which is why I'm saying I like the item management in Mass Effect 1, but even I hated the weapon management in Breath of the Wild. The weapon management. Yikes.
So I'm noticing something right now. As I'm going through my Steam library, I'm realizing that while there are some games that I'm just like, what was that again? That I just completely forgot about. I don't have any that I'm just like mad that I have, but I just realized that's because Steam has a really good return policy.
I actually have 2 that I'm mad that I have, and I'm mad 3 actually that I'm mad that I have.
I've been very willing to use Steam's return policy, and I'm like, that's why I don't really have many. I mean, I said, there's several that I'm just like, wait, why?
Well,
Trying to think if I've ever used their return policy.
Oh, I've used it so many times.
I've used it a few times, but almost exclusively for gifts.
Yeah, I've used their return policy because like Civilization 3, my son wanted to play Civilization, and 3 was on sale, but it will not run on Steam Play, so it just would crash. So I just returned it, and they let me, and that was good. Though I did actually have a game on Steam that I was so mad it was in my library that I asked them to remove it.
I think I've done that before. I can't remember what it was.
The thing is, it's not that I picked out the game to buy it. It was just part of a giant bundle where, a humble bundle where I wanted 1 or 2 games. I didn't really pay attention to the other games. And then I saw a game that I'm like, I absolutely do not want this game in my library at all.
Why did you redeem the code?
I think it was just like back in the day, they didn't have codes for every game. It was one code for just all of the games.
For Humble Bundle, I thought it was all individuals.
They do that now, but not at the...
for some reason
they haven't always done that, but...
Okay.
But yeah, I guess I had one bundle that had... It was a bunch of like point-and-click adventure games. Because I think I wanted some of them. So I noticed Harvester was on the list. I'm like, I do not want that game on in my library, period. And so I asked them to remove it, and they did.
And that's something they will do. Yeah, they even it's even built into the interface pretty easily now.
Yeah.
Oh, I found one. That I'm angry that I bought, and I feel like Kami will commiserate with me on this one.
Okay.
Final Fantasy 11.
I regret that one.
Yeah.
Me
too.
I wanted to love it. I really did.
I didn't want to get it, but I had a friend who pressured me like, hey, we got 3 months before, we got a few months after graduation before we start the rest of our lives, and play it with me. And I don't even think I hardly played with him at all. Yeah, so no, I think I'm with you on Final Fantasy 11. Absolutely.
12 is the one where I finally walked away from the series for a while, just because it wasn't what I was looking for. At this point, I actually own it, and I'm gonna try it again because I've kind of gotten into a different headspace with the series. But
12's
11,
fun if you
me.
think of it as a programmer having fun with AI.
But 11,
Yeah, 11. Like I remember trying to play 11. I think under the same instances that you were. A friend of mine or my partner and I, we were just like, we were looking for something to play together, and we got into it, and it was awful, and we just ran away from it immediately.
Yeah, for me it was
was just bad.
I had a friend who they stopped playing World of Warcraft for a bit. And I was like, hey, you hadn't been playing World of Warcraft. What's up? And it's like, oh, World of Warcraft's for babies type of thing. I'm paraphrasing a bit. There's like, Final Fantasy 11's way better. And I'm just like, really? And they just talked it up a ton, so I bought it. and then I played it, and Final Fantasy XI didn't have quest markers. It didn't have, like, wouldn't tell you if you completed a quest. Like, there's no icons over people's heads, so you have to just talk to every frickin' person in an MMO, which has way more characters than your average RPG. If you want to see if they're quest, you could lose XP, but the worst thing of all, once you got past level 10, you basically couldn't do anything alone at all.
Yeah, no, I had the same experience. Like, my goodness, when I was playing, I'm like, man, I wish I could be the ninja, because his ability is that he can self-destruct and not lose XP. So if I'm dying, I could do that. The fact that the mechanic I wanted more than anything was to not lose XP from dying, because, I mean, nothing was more of a punch in the gut than to spend 3 hours grinding experience and then have one death undo all of it.
Yep.
And then, of course, when I complained to my friends, like, well, you just need to be in a party and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, I don't have a party. He's like, well, that's why I did a white mage, because everyone wants me to be on their party. I'm just like, whatever, man.
Yeah, it's really interesting to me with, because, like, your friend's response to it, Splice, because it's just like, a lot of people will be like, oh, that's so easy if you and it's for babies, and it's just like, that's like telling somebody, if you don't have razor blades inside of your track pants, then you're not really running.
Yeah.
Like,
well, it'd be like
you're it's not just hard, it's painful.
Well, it's like you're not working a real job if a slight mistake doesn't make you lose all the pay for that day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just afterwards, I'm just like, it's like, how you liking it? I'm like, I don't. This game sucks. I don't understand what you see in it.
Yeah,
and so it was just one of those things.
Didn't feel natural either.
No, it was like they just said, oh, let's just slap Final Fantasy onto an MMO, and that's good enough. And it's like, I think you misunderstand what an MMO is.
Yeah, it didn't even really feel like it played like an MMO. Like, just the interface was not intuitive at all.
Well, it felt like the programmers just took all of their player base and went, now kiss.
Well, that and like, was I able to ride an airship? No, because you had to be a certain level. Was I able to get a chocobo? No, because you had to be a certain level. But yeah, you couldn't get to that certain level if you didn't have a party power leveling you.
Oh dear God, this sounds like the original Star Wars Online all over again.
So yeah, no, I'm totally with you on. I kind of regret FF11, and I wasn't planning on it either at all.
See, and now again, I do really enjoy FF14. I'm literally playing it as we're talking right now, but that's because they learned from all of those mistakes,
and then learned from a completely new set of mistakes, and then we got the good version.
Oh, yes. Well, it's not a completely new set of mistakes, because one of the biggest problems with OG FF14 was they basically just remade FF11 with a different setting. And people were just like, no, this is not going to work. You can't do this again.
Yeah.
I mean, like, and like for me, being my requisite disappointing Final Fantasy is 15.
Right.
But that was because that had to do with two things. It was kind of longer, and it was just kind of like this is kind of what Final Fantasy was supposed to be, but I think I've just kind of grown past it. And then it was the BS with the DLC that happened after, where like they were like, hey, if you buy the whole thing up front, you're guaranteed like 6 DLCs, and it's great. And then they got to about 5, and they're like, yeah, never mind. And that honestly has tainted my entire view of Square Enix ever since then. I will not trust them for anything.
It's funny. That's another one, 15, that I wasn't going to buy. But then I had a friend talk me into it. And then I just couldn't get into it.
Is 15 Bro Trip?
Yes.
Yeah. 15 is Bro Trip. Yep.
Like, it was a gorgeous game. It was a beautiful game, and there were parts I like about
with ugly models, ugly characters.
But ugly, yeah. But like, there was just some of it where it was just like, man, I wish I just hadn't. But
They did put the best part of that game into FF14, and that's the car.
I mean, that's good at least.
But
I got sick of driving around everywhere, to be honest.
The actual
riding
one
on cars
who got me twice was Destiny. Because I bought Destiny. I realized this game wasn't for me. I was very disappointed about it. And then Destiny 2 came out. And I got talked into doing it by a friend of mine, knowing full well that I hated this style of game. He abandoned me.
And I was that's the worst.
Yeah, because it was just like, okay, well, I didn't enjoy this the first time because like it was really just me and my partner couldn't play at the same time on split screen. If I have somebody to play with, this will be better. And even my partner was just like, you hated the first one. Why are you buying this? Oh, because Nathan's gonna buy it. He's gonna play with me. I hear Jeff's gonna get it too, and it's gonna be, we're gonna have a little group. It's gonna be like the old times back at the apartment. Woo! And a month and a half later, got me twice.
Fool me once, shame on you.
Fool me twice, shame on me.
That's also shame on me. Fool me 3 times, I am sent to my death.
Well, if you fool me 3 times, shame on Splice, and he gets no potato.
No one gets that, Splice.
Well, you do. The world would be better if there were more Poker Night at the Inventory references.
That's what it is. I vaguely remembered it, but I wasn't sure what it was.
Good old Poker Night at the Inventory.
That's the thing when Telltale went out of business. I'm like, no, I'm never getting Poker Night 3.
I don't think
it was kind of disappointing anyway.
Oh, I love to.
Poker Night 1 was fun.
I did enjoy it too, but I think I like the character selection in 1 better.
I'll agree. I still enjoyed it. I liked the systems they brought in with getting the new layouts and stuff.
It's interesting. I'm noticing there's kind of a theme now of I wasn't planning on this game, a friend talked me into it, or I bought it to play with a friend, and then they didn't end up playing it with me at all, which actually does bring up two games that fit that category for me. The first one is Titanfall. Do you remember that game?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's also was an Origin exclusive. You had to get the Origin version, and I bought that to play with Dane, actually.
I did too, actually.
And I think I maybe played 3 matches with him total. And at the end of the day, it's just like it wasn't worth it. And and I realized I kind of wasted my money buying it at all. I mean, it's not that it was a terrible game, but it's just it wasn't for me, and the reason why I bought it just never happened. And and the other one is one I actually played quite a lot, actually, but I still regret it for a number of reasons, is Overwatch.
I was about to bring up Overwatch.
Yeah, for me,
that is a game that's disappointing on so many levels.
Because I have 3.
And it's not finished disappointing.
No, it's not.
It's the gift the gift that keeps on screwing up.
I mean, so number 1, there's like the current state, which I'm sure you guys will talk about. So I'll let you guys talk about that. Number 2, I played it so much at release that I hurt my wrist, and I had to change from a traditional mouse to using a trackball. And 3,
okay, that's a new version of the regret that we haven't had yet. Literal physical pain.
And 3, I wasn't planning to get it until Splice, you, and Baggins talked me into it.
I remember that.
I was having tons of fun.
We were eating sushi, and you guys were telling me about this game.
It was great.
When you described it, I'm like, Baggins, this is not your style of game. Why are you interested?
I was in love with the lore, which they killed.
Yeah, and then I'm like, okay, but at least I'll be able to play with Splice because, he loves TF2. I'll be able to play another TF2 game with Splice. And then as soon as it came out, I swear you stopped playing Splice.
I didn't stop playing. What happened was I stopped streaming.
Started streaming.
I stopped streaming. That was true. But I was still playing it. But the problem was they completely borked up the matchmaking. And suddenly people who are on different levels, if you put them together, it would take forever to get matches. And so it would punish people who weren't near the same level. And then on top of it, they started, it's so frustrating. I still completely blame Bobby Kotick. Cause it got super popular just out of nowhere. And they clearly said, oh, well, this is going to be an esport, ignoring the fact that every successful esport has been completely organically grown. Artificially grown esports never work. And so they changed the entire trajectory of the game and said they stopped doing all the lore stuff that they were planning on doing, and they started balancing the game around competitive instead of around just everyone else.
I was listening to a podcast recently where apparently it had some old dev had come out and said it wasn't Kotick's fault for that push for esports. It was Activision's.
Well, he's the CEO.
It was
who ran Activision?
Kotick was the CEO. Okay. I got Kaplan.
I think he meant Kaplan.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, yeah, you're right. No,
Kodak's fault, not Kaplan's fault.
I was like, Kotick was Activision.
But personally, I had a beef against Kotick after he killed the private server in multiplayer games with Modern Warfare 2, and I'm still bitter about that.
Actually, yeah, no. The fact that you can't have private server in modern games, I abhor with a passion.
That was
There's
Kotick's
a few,
fault.
but yeah.
Well, before this becomes yet another podcast
true.
dedicated to dunking on old ActiBliz.
But
Going back to Overwatch,
I regret
the only reason
Overwatch
is not on my list for this particular incident is I did not buy Overwatch.
I was going to say, didn't one of us?
You guys bought me Overwatch.
I remember doing that. I remember that. I'd completely forgotten about that, but I remember it now.
I was not going to buy Overwatch.
No, early Overwatch was a grand time to be alive because it was full.
Overwatch was fantastic.
It was full of possibility.
Fun.
Yes.
And then they said no. And that I am very proud of myself when Overwatch 2 came out. I'm like, I'm gonna wait.
Yeah. Well, when it came out, I was like, I'm not even waiting. I'm just like, no. The answer is no.
For me, it was if they ever had come out with the actual PvE content they were planning, or rather, Kaplan was planning, but secretly they were like, "No, this isn't going to happen." It's like I would have given it a shot.
I mean, if I could even play Junkenstein whenever, or the other PvE.
Well, yeah,
options.
but how are they going to monetize you?
I bought the game already, dillweeds.
No. It's now free to play, and it's a completely different game.
Yeah, my launching off platform,
and I can't even play the game now. It's unplayable.
Really and truly.
I suppose I could say that I regret having purchased TF2 because. Not because I think it's a bad game, but because I bought TF2 at full price as a standalone object.
Oh, before box.
Ooh.
No, it was after box, but I'm like, I didn't care for the other games in the box. I just wanted TF2.
But the other games are really good.
I bought the box for Portal.
Okay,
I bought box day one, man.
I have since played all the other games on the orange box. But the worst thing is the orange box was the same price as TF2 standalone.
Yeah. Oof.
Yeah.
Oof.
I don't know. I got my money. I feel I got my money's worth. I don't care.
But the biggest regret in that regard is, it's not a regret anymore. But at the time, I was reluctant to install Steam. I didn't want to because I knew what it was going to do, and it has done that. Physical copies for PC games are non-existent now. And And I did not want to encourage that, so I refused to install Steam I held out for several years, in fact. Eventually, they won me over because I had never heard of games going on sale before.
Oh,
It
Steam sale
just
was-
never happened. It never happened. You go into a retail store and the PC games were full price every time. Didn't matter how long they've been sitting on that shelf. Didn't matter. I had never seen a video game on sale. And when PC Steam sales, when they were revealed to me to be a thing, I'm like, wait, what?
The Steam sale back in the day,
everything.
the Steam sale back in the day was like, that was the Wild West and a wonderful time to be alive. Because they would have like hourly sales, like the flash sales that popped up, and like
that was a
nobody
little
knew what
much.
was coming. And
That
it
hourly
was,
sale, that's
it
was a little much, but it's like,
I
they showed
loved it. It was
$50
amazing.
for this game that everyone wants, as long as you are awake between 3 and 4 a.m.
Yep.
Pacific time, you can get them like,
Because it was an hour-long sale, but it was a big discount.
My favorite will be I was up late at night on Christmas Eve back home, just randomly on my laptop, and I'm just like, I haven't had a lot to do, just because my family was a little more busy than they had planned to be for Christmas. And I'm like, but this is my laptop, I can't play anything. Wonder if there are any old games on sale. And I just so happened to be on, and they were having a sale on Knights of the Old Republic.
nice.
And I bought
That's
it
how
for
they get ya.
$1.
Very nice.
And it's like, and that was Christmas.
Well, that was the other thing is like I remember buying other people Christmas presents with the Steam sale because, I mean, come on.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, why not?
Well, that's the problem. Back then, you could just keep it in your inventory and give it to someone later, but for some reason, they can't do that anymore.
right. But I mean, you could buy
Can't.
every single friend you had a gift for like $25.
Well, I still have a few that it's like there was a sale, so I bought a few just so that I could give them out as prizes for different things.
I still have some gift copies of games in my inventory.
I think I do too, actually. Yeah.
I wonder why they got rid of it.
Now, the reason there aren't too many games that I absolutely regret buying, because, well, what is my nickname, Splice?
Spoiler of Worlds.
Spoiler of Worlds. I do my research. I'm not going to waste my money on something that I don't think I'm going to enjoy, and I'm going to research it thoroughly. But there have been a few games that have slipped through the cracks. One of those games was Galactic Civilizations 3. And I did purchase it in a very early state. I don't think early access was a thing yet, so I don't think it was an early access, but it was in a very early state shortly after release. And it wasn't quite what I was expecting it to be, but I never traded it. I never got the refund because I was hoping that later updates would improve the game. But to be perfectly honest, I've never really gone back to it, so I have absolutely no idea if it has actually been improved or not.
Which game was that? Sorry.
But I remember reading Galactic Civilizations 3,
Okay.
because I remember reading stories about the kinds of things you could do in Galactic Civilization 2, which is essentially, it's a 4X Spaceborne game. So it's like Civilization, but in space.
As is the
Sadly,
final
though-
destination of all franchises.
Civilization, but in space is Alpha Centauri.
Yep, exactly. I
never had the chance to play Alpha Centauri, but I was never sure if I didn't like the game because I wasn't getting it, or if it had just been so long since I played a 4X game that I just couldn't figure out how to play it anymore. But it just seemed
Got
like
it.
no matter what I did, I was always behind on research. I was always behind on resources. I could not get a leg up on getting anything done. And everyone was always, they got to the planets before I did. They developed their planets before I did. I could not keep up. And I was playing on the easy setting. So I eventually just kind of, I can't figure this out. And I gave up.
So I was just looking through. I have 10 gift copies of games in my Steam library.
What games?
Let's see.
I suppose you don't have to say
At least
that
one
on
of them's going to be the
public
ship
front.
because apparently everyone has a gift copy of the ship.
I have
I
two
have-
gift copies
Yep.
of the ship.
Me too.
I don't think I have. Do I even have any games?
No, I have.
Your Steam is completely
I have-
empty. You have no games.
I have 2 gift copies in my Steam library. I completely
forgot
forgot
this
I
one.
had these.
I do not have any copies of the ship.
I don't have the ship. I don't know what
We
the
can
ship
fix
is. What's
that.
the ship?
Yeah, we could give you the ship.
Let's
I
not.
don't know what the ship is.
Here's the
It's
thing.
it's a murder mystery where I think everyone is assigned somebody that they need to assassinate.
It's like
Oh.
okay, no, I
Among
have
Us
heard
before
of that
Among Us.
game.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that's like. So my friends and I tried to play it fairly recently, just on a whim, and apparently they've taken down all like the hosted servers, so like you have to like do like a direct connect or something in order to play it.
Hmm.
Wait, the ship?
At least they
Yeah.
have that as an option.
Oh, I've got a gift copy of Bit Trip Runner. That's a great one.
It's not exactly an easy option.
My 2 gifts are the Kerbal Space Program and Sonic and All Stars Racing Transformed.
Wow. Isn't that basically Mario Kart but Sonic?
It's the second version of Mario Kart, but Sonic.
Uh-huh.
And it actually has TF2 characters in it.
What?
Of course it does.
One of the racers was a TF2 character, and the character depended because it's called Transformed because your kart transforms into a boat or a plane depending on the track.
Right.
And the 3 characters of TF2, they each pilot one of the different vehicles. The heavy is the kart, the spy is the plane, and the pyro is the boat.
Huh.
Apparently, I have
Might
a
have
gift
the heavy and
copy
pyro mixed up.
of Divinity Original Sin Enhanced Edition. Huh.
I feel like that's one of those games where it's like after a certain point in time, if you own the original edition, they gave you the enhanced edition. Or it could have been one of those things where it's like, because when I got it as part of like the Divinity bundle.
Well, I think I bought the one, and then they gave me the free Enhanced Edition, and then I bought the bundle, and so I have the gift from that, would be my guess.
Oh, you have a gift for it. Okay. That's what
Yeah.
you're saying.
So getting back to the topic of the night though, I
Yeah.
do have another one.
Ooh.
This is one that I kickstarted and was actually really excited about because it's a Metroidvania, which is one of my favorite genres. The art was really cool looking. It's called Curse of the Sea Rats. Have any of y'all heard of this one?
No.
Never heard of
For a
it.
I
second,
have
I'm like,
from
wait,
you.
is he
Yeah.
gonna say Bloodstained Curse of the
My
Ritual of
Curse
the
of the
Night?
Moon. Yeah,
I love
was,
that game. I love
No.
that game and wish I backed it.
Because
That was where my brain went.
It was released about a year ago, and I remember playing it. I only played it for like 5 or 10 minutes, and I just walked away because the controls are so clunky, and with a Metroidvania, that's not a good thing.
That's killer.
And but like the art, like visually, this game looks incredible. The art style is very it's got like Don Bluth animation style.
Oh, that's
vibes
cool.
to it. So like and the concept is like there's this ship's crew that's been cursed and turned into rats, and you're going through and like conceptually it's amazing, but I just played it for like 10 minutes. I was like, this just feels bad. This feels like someone's school project that had some, like they were more like they weren't a good programmer, they were a good artist.
Mm.
And it was just like, this just doesn't feel fun to play. And so maybe if it, because with some Metroidvanias, that actually can be the case until you get your first upgrade or two. But this was just like,
Yeah.
I don't even want to play until I get my first upgrade. So
That's rough.
it's interesting because like I looked
This
at
art
the
style I'm looking at, it is jaw
it's
dropping.
beautiful. It's absolutely stunning, but it was just not fun to play. And I went and I was just curious today as I was getting ready for tonight. I went and I was looking at reviews, and it's solid mixed. And the positive reviews I see on it, I'm just like, I don't understand why you enjoyed this, because this just felt painful to play. But maybe I was just in the wrong headspace, and I need to give it another try. But
I will say some people definitely have higher tolerance for certain things than others, and shaky gameplay controls is definitely one of those things where most people really have issues with, but some people don't.
yeah, also I'm mad at them because they called it a Ratoidvania. I'm like, I'm sorry, you call it Ratroid. It's right there. You don't like.
See, that would be like it's a Mousetroidvania.
What was the name of the game?
Curse of the Sea Rats.
Yeah, never heard. Okay, I have one. I wondered, has anyone heard of this game? Has anyone heard of Global Agenda?
Yes.
I
Sounds
think I've
familiar.
heard of it.
I don't want to get into a political.
I feel like that's a subtitle of like a version of Risk.
So, Global Agenda was a game that came out, I think, like 15 years ago. And a bunch of people in our TF2 clan got it and were excited for it. It was going to be an MMO shooter.
That's right. That's right.
And
It
so-
looked cool.
And their whole thing was like, where, there's no elves here. And it was clearly like trying to target World of Warcraft. And
Because every MMO was targeting World of Warcraft.
yes,
players.
everything was a WoW killer. And
And the marketing was hardcore on this game.
Oh, it was
Yeah.
90s edgelord marketing.
Oh, yeah.
And
I remember this.
And so there's this called the Secret Agent Clan. So a bunch of the agents got it, and I was like, oh, they seem to be enjoying it. So I got it. There was no PvE. They're like, oh, PvE's coming later. And I'm seeing basically a bunch of Russian names, and I think we were the only English speakers playing it, I swear. And so it was just PvP the entire time, and I'm just like, what? I don't get it. What's the point of a PvP with a leveling system? And it wasn't that good. I ended up playing it like 10 hours, and I just went for my own fun and just like looked it through Steam. It's like, who on your friends list owns this? And I was like, okay, let's see here. And then I see, okay, one person put in almost 200 hours. One person actually put in 666 hours. But everyone else, it's like 41 hours, 33 hours, 44 hours. Everyone's just sort of 0.6 hours, 1 hour. Just, you just like,
Everyone played it for a week and then decided, no.
I'm gonna go back to TF2 is what they decided.
That's the thing. I think I remember seeing you playing it and I'm like, oh, is this a game I should get? But I'm trying to think, was there like a free weekend where
There might have been a free weekend.
No, because part of me is like, there's a piece of me that says I played it, but if I did, it was a free weekend and decided against it. I can't remember.
Yeah, it was just one of these things like, and it lagged. Oh my goodness, it was so laggy, and especially
I can just
coming
see
from
the video you put. It is lagging bad.
Well, so this video is from like 12 years ago or whatever. Apparently it like relaunched 2 years ago or something. Maybe they finally added PvE or something. I don't know. But no, it was just, I just remember, especially coming off TF2, which has one of the better lag systems I've had in a shooter, especially back in that era.
Oh yeah.
And so it's like going to this and like you're trying to snipe and you just get a full-on headshot on a stationary target. It's like, nope. And then you miss completely and you kill something. You're just like, what? It was not good. I don't get it. I just don't get it.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't end up buying that. So thanks for taking that bullet for me, Splice.
That's what I do. It's what heroes do. They're the ones who take the bullet.
Though a bullet I did take, though I was able to return it and get a full refund, thank goodness. But yeah, we decided to say, these naysayers are probably exaggerating, and we bought Sonic 06. And tried to play that.
What did you learn about the naysayers?
I learned that they actually knew what they were talking about. Now, to be fair, a lot of their complaints I think was unwarranted because they're like, "Oh, I don't like the style of this game," or, I don't like the world that they set up, and I'm like, "Oh, come on, I think it's perfectly fine." And then I tried to play it, and I think the world, I think it has potential. I think that game has massive potential, honestly. I think it had some cool ideas. I think it had kind of a cool world and a cool concept. But calling that a fully released game is a stretch. Calling that a beta game is a stretch. Calling that an alpha build of a game is a stretch.
Well, do you know what do you know what I think about that? I think it's no use.
I don't even think they play tested it ever. Like I all I know is I tried to get I was playing in the hub world, thought that was kind of fun, and then you get the light shoes, which lets you zip along rings, and that was to get you to I don't know, the second or third level of the game where you have to zip across the chasm, right? So I zip on the rings to get to the stage that I need to play next. And so I zip along, and then I get to the last ring, and then it immediately, instead of having me keep going forward in the momentum to land on the ledge, like it's supposed to, it immediately shot me straight down into the cliff, like just a 90-degree change in momentum to my death, even though I was using the required item to get to the area. And I'm like, what was that? And then I found other bugs, other problems. I'm like, this game is unplayable. It is an unplayable mess that still needs at least 3 years, well, maybe not 3 years, but several months worth of bug fixing before it could even be considered to be in a beta build. So yeah, I took it back. I'm like, well, no wonder why people hate this game, and it was only $10, but I at least got my $10 back. But yeah.
Well, and it wouldn't be so bad if it weren't for the fact that they were really pitching this as this is the return to Sonic's roots, and we're gonna.
They didn't give it a subtitle. They were so confident.
Yeah,
I don't know what this has to do with returning to roots, though. But goodness.
Can I bring up another game in the same vein?
Well, before you do that, though, do it, Baggins. I just want to say, Looney, have you heard of Project 06?
No, I'm actually kind of interested because if someone's actually able to finish this game, it might actually be good.
Project 06 is a fan recreation for PC of Sonic 06, and all reviews say it is absolutely everything that game should have been.
Okay, I am very interested because my review of playing this game is this game has the potential to be amazing, but it is a broken, unfinished state that it's unplayable.
It was released in segments. Sonic's was released several years ago. Shadows a couple years ago, and Silver's most recently. I believe the project is finished. You might take a look at that. It's for PC. I don't know if it runs in Linux, though. That may be your hang-up.
That could be a problem for me. But then again, a lot of fan projects, they allow you to... sometimes a lot of them let you play on Linux because they programmed it, and therefore depending on what they used, they could easily be ported to Linux, and why not?
Anyway, sorry, Baggins, back to you.
But
Well,
no, I'm
actually-
glad you mentioned that.
Yeah, actually, before I deviate a little bit from this, have y'all heard the news about the latest news about Sonic 3, the movie?
Yeah,
Keanu
Keanu Reeves.
The casting.
Keanu
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves as Shadow the Hedgehog.
Like just
And
perfect
I
casting.
was like, I
Well, there it is,
actually
right
don't
there,
hate it.
right there. The way he just died just then. Yeah, that spot right there, that's where I said, whoa, this game is broken. I can't even use the mechanics intended. Though I now realize there's probably a bit of a lag from me watching the video and me saying it, but yeah.
At
he
least
showed-
it gave us one of the most iconic moments in the game, Grumps.
It's no use.
But in a similar vein, though, this is one that
and it just happened to him again, exactly as it happened to me. Game is so broken.
in a similar vein, though, this is a game that got a lot of mockery when it first came out, but people haven't talked about it for a while, so I figure I'd stir the pot. Metroid Other M. That one I regretted.
I have no regrets on that one.
I do. I just could not enjoy that game. I tried so hard.
Did you get so
And it-
far?
In the end, it didn't even matter.
Gosh.
I'm just going to
You
leave
guys say
Sonic
I'm going
06.
to copyright strike this.
No, that's fine. You can leave 06 in the background. It'll be more entertaining that way.
I love glitch fests. I don't know why.
It just.
But
it
what
made me
about the
so
baby?
sad. Oh gosh.
I
It was
unironically
pain.
enjoyed the game. I 100%ed it. I had fun.
This makes me doubt your sense.
No,
Sure,
he paid for it with dollars.
I mean, I had problems with the game, for sure, but I didn't hate it like other people did. But
oh gosh,
I understand why.
I wanted to love it so much. I really did. I was so excited for more Metroid. And then they gave me that instead.
I never bought Other M, but I did play it, thanks to Looney, actually. While we were were we roommates still? I can't remember.
It came out when
I don't think so.
we were living at Rivendell.
No,
So
me
y'all
and
wouldn't
Lizzie
have
were
been-
already married, so
Yeah.
no. I didn't
Okay,
have a
but
Wii
then-
when we were roommates.
Yeah, that's true. But I did play it on yours, right?
Quite possibly.
I'm pretty sure I did.
Yeah, you probably just came over and played it.
And I completed the game. I did find the story lackluster. I wasn't terribly happy with how they portrayed Samus, and I'm still at just the Samus PTSD moment
I have
just rubbed me so
that-
wrong.
That rubbed me wrong too. Because when it happened, I'm like, I understand this if this happened in a previous game, but at this point in the storyline, no, I don't accept it.
If
But,
this were a 3D remake of Metroid 1,
yeah, oh yeah,
it could be a poignant moment, showing the moment when she gets, gets the courage to face her demons. But
It's like
instead, it's
she's-
like,
Or
she's
even-
killed this-
like
she's
she has
beaten
been
this
doing
how many
nothing but
times?
absolutely stacking L's for Ridley for years now.
well and that's a Ridley that was like rehatched as a chick and doesn't even have the memories of being Ridley. So it's like, why are you having your blue screen of death over that? Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Anyway, not to get back into video essay territory, we can. Yeah, I have a couple that I've been thinking of because, well, they definitely run the gambit of a number of topics that have been brought up already, like games you bought thinking you'd play with other people and then other people didn't play.
Yep.
Games that you bought and then were then kind of replaced. Like I got Age of Empires 2 HD edition just apparently like soon before the release of the definitive edition, and I'm just like, I waited a little bit, and then I ended up getting the definitive edition anyway because there's so much extra quality of life. It's like it honestly was still worth it. But a game that I picked up, played.
Wait, which game was that again?
Sorry, what?
Which game?
Age of Empires 2.
Age of Empires 2? Okay.
Yeah, Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition came out, but I got the HD edition apparently just before Definitive Edition came out, and I didn't know Definitive was coming out, so...
that's rough.
Which is rough. But a game that I got kind of on, not necessarily recommendation, but upon seeing so many people playing it and having a lot of fun with it, even though I was kind of on the fence on getting it, and then I was like, you know what? This isn't really my thing anymore, was Pokemon Sun and Moon. It was the last Pokemon game that I bought. I picked it up not really wanting a Pokemon game, but because seeing so many other people playing it and enjoying it and having fun and talking about it, I was like starting to feel that FOMO, that missing out. I'm like, am I missing something? Do I need to join in and play and, be able to talk about it? Never talked about it with anyone. After I bought it, everyone stopped playing. I made myself finish the game because I'm like, well, I got it. I need to finish it. And after finishing, I think it was literally like either Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve, I finished that game, like beat the Elite Four final, champion, whatever their name is. And then it forces me into a battle to try and catch a legendary Pokemon. I'm like, hold on, I didn't bring my capturing team with me. What's this garbage? And then the whole long credits... I think that's after a whole long credit sequence, too. And it was just like, okay, you know what? Sure, the game was slow, the game had some issues, whatever. But after that, it's just like, well, I don't feel like the game is respecting my time or my decisions as a player from various things. I put it down, I'm like, Pokemon's not for me anymore. It's just not being made for me. And I haven't really touched a new Pokemon game since, and so... Does that count as a game you regret getting?
We've had a bunch of it. In fact, I think like the whole first segment was that kind of games.
Yeah,
us.
that's from. I have a similar Pokemon regret, and that's Pokemon Let's Go Eevee. Because
tell me about Eevee.
Well, the problem is that basically I got bullied by chat with donations, which is the best way to be bullied. And they're like, play Pokemon. And like,
I mean, if someone's gonna bully you, I want it to be throwing money at you.
And so they're like, play Pokemon. I'm like, okay, like I have no interest in the newer ones, but they have these remakes with the Let's Go whatever. That'll be fine. And I figured, just put it up to a vote, and they voted for Eevee. It's like, that's cool, whatever. Get it. What I didn't realize is that they removed random battles, and they're now it's like, no, you do it with the Pokemon Go catching. It's like
market a remake of first gen to Pokemon Go players.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that's but this isn't. And then on top of it, they made it so stupid easy. Like Eevee, you just gets like 3 different other typing attacks that are really powerful near the beginning. And it's like, nothing's a challenge. Eevee just plows through everything because Eevee has everything.
Well, and it has boosted stats too.
Yeah.
Same thing with the Pikachu. It's like, I'm like, oh, but then you're stuck with one typing, and my kids are like, no, you get like Floaty Fall for flying type, and this is, and I'm like, what? What are you even saying?
Yeah.
But yeah, once I saw my family playing, and it's just like, oh no, you don't fight in random encounters. You have to catch random encounters to get experience. I'm like, what? This is awful. Why is it Pokemon Go? Why?
Yeah,
And if you're playing it docked, you have to use the Wiimote or the Pokeball controller you could buy, and you have to motion control it, which is why
had mandatory motion controls.
Yeah, which is why my wife likes to play it undocked in handheld modes, because then it'll let you just use buttons instead of having motion controls.
That's a bad.
But yeah,
bad
control
decision
depends
in
on whether you're docked versus in handheld. That's cruel.
That's a hard no.
Yeah, that's a hard no.
Pokemon Company's really good at making baffling decisions.
And not being punished for it because they have a rabid fan base who will continue to buy anything that says Pokemon on the title.
Yep.
Twice, by the way, because 2 games,
It's the
incomplete
most brilliant marketing thing ever. No. They're spread over 2 games. It's because we want to encourage trading. It's like, it's not because you're trying to get people to buy it twice, are you? No.
Fire Emblem tried that with Fates, and it was so stupid.
Yeah, which was kind of the biggest problem with Fates. Granted, I did buy the...
That wasn't even the biggest problem with Fates, but that's a whole other topic of discussion.
But luckily, I did buy the cartridge that has all 3 games on cart. But...
Oh yeah, because also with the way that they sold it, you can't even get Revelations anymore.
Yeah.
Because 3DS eShop, it was only available via DLC 3DS eShop.
Or if you got the cart I had.
Or if you had the special edition cartridge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mithril, did you have one?
I have a couple various ones that are kind of short, but I also wanted to talk a little bit about, if we were okay with branching out into like DLC purchases and whatnot that we regret. I don't know if any of you have ever spent money on a mobile game. I did it once and immediately got punished for it, and never again.
It was his college years. He was experimenting.
Yeah, exactly. So
everyone was doing it at university.
For a couple years, I played Fire Emblem Heroes pretty much daily.
Yeah.
For those not in the know, it is a gacha game in terms of like, hey, you get orbs, you get random pulls for heroes across the Fire Emblem series, and then...
Yeah, and I got trapped in it too, because it's like, it has the daily rewards.
Mm-hmm.
That just
I know Patribka. Wish he was here for this because I know he got into it too.
People have done the math, and Fire Emblem Heroes overall came out as like one of the lowest like cost to 5-star or cost to like ideal pull character, I guess you call it. I don't know. In gacha gaming, like it was like, I say only, roughly the price of like a full purchase game in order to, 99.9% guarantee getting, or actually no, once they introduced the pity system, it was like, oh yeah, no, it's relatively fairly cheap to do that. But that said, that is per banner, and you have a banner coming out every 2 weeks. Anyway, my story with it is like within its first couple months or so, they put out a banner on Fire Emblem 4, and there was a character that I was really excited for. I had been getting blown up by certain people in online matches, certain units all the time, and this character, Sigurd, had an ability that was like, okay, I'm gonna massively reduce the magic damage I take. So all of the people running this big magic damage comp, it's a built-in counter, supposedly. It didn't end up actually working out, by the way. He still died to it, but because people were just because the build was just that overpowered. But it was funny. But I had donated plasma earlier that week, and so I put $20 or whatever into orbs. Pulled, didn't get him at all. Instantly regretted putting the money in, and was like, "Look, I'm not buying anything that's not guaranteed ever again." I did not fall into the gambler's trap of like, oh, just keep going, you'll get it eventually. I was like, nope. I got like 3 other 5 stars that I did not care about at all, and I'm just like, I don't care. I'm done. Yeah. Still played the game for like 3 more years before finally, stopping it, but I never paid a cent more into it.
Yeah, I will admit, I did drop $20 on that game, and I did it for I've heard Splice or maybe Baggins say the whole, it's a free game. I've been enjoying it, so I want to throw some money.
Yeah, I've said that.
Mm-hmm. And that was my mentality as well.
That was my justification. But yeah, it was a banner where they had Cordelia, my favorite character, in a wedding dress, and I'm like, I want that.
Oh, that was like I think that was the first wedding banner they did.
I think it was the first wedding banner, and yeah, I dropped 20, but I did get that gotcha drop. But once they started doing banners like every 2 weeks, I'm like, okay, this is too tempting, and I'm keep playing every day to get more orbs, and I'm like, I need to stop. It's taking over my life in a way I don't like, and I cut it out of my life sooner than you did. But
I stopped playing because power creep had gotten to a point, not even power creep, complexity power creep, where everything has like, you look at, it's kind of like if you haven't like played Hearthstone for a while and then you look at some of what the cards do, it's absolutely insane.
They have like their tier lists that are like shifting constantly, and it was just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's why I brought it up, because just like, what do these cards even do? No one knows. But it is one of those things where it's like, okay, you open a character up from like the first round, like a release character. There's some pretty basic skills. They're all pretty intuitive. Like the longest paragraph you'll see is on like Triangle Adept, which is basically this unit has like double weapon triangle. In more words. But now you open it up and every single ability has like 3 paragraphs on it on the specific things of what it does and what it doesn't do. Despite explaining everything, it still uses terminology that if you haven't been like keeping up with the game and following and getting like knowing what other units do that have those base abilities, it's just not going to make any sense. And it's just like, yeah, no, there's a reason why I dropped this game like a stone after a while, after I realized, hey, it's been about a year of me just logging in to do a daily that I auto battle and don't even care about. Why am I even doing this anymore?
So you're telling me if I tried to play again, I wouldn't even know what the heck they're talking about?
Correct.
Wow. Okay.
Though you would probably get showered in like 500 orbs for like all the missed login events that they're like, hey, don't worry, we're going to catch you up. Yeah.
Well, we've been going at this for a bit, but it seems the trend is mostly friends abandoning us. I'm hearing myself echo suddenly. Mostly people abandoning us, but also just buying things that we did not expect and just not getting what we wanted. But fortunately, we had at least some good ones where people were just having some analysis paralysis and chose poorly. So that's good at least.
So here's an example of I regret having supported a practice, and that would actually be in Assassin's Creed 2. I bought the DLC, and they
early wave DLC.
They pitched. I mean, here's how they pitched the DLC, and I said, "Oh, I'm okay with this," because other stuff I'm like, "Oh, I wouldn't buy that." I'm not going to buy stupid horse armor. But the way he says, "Oh, here's a part of the game that I planned. We planned this, but then when we came to, we need to hit deadlines and cut scope. This is scope that we cut, but we've said, oh, but if we can, get DLC for it, and you want to pay us to do this, we'll finish the content that we cut and make it paid DLC." And I'm like, oh, okay, I kind of like this idea because now I can get the complete game that they originally planned. And so I bought the DLC for Assassin's Creed 2, and I played it, and after going through those couple of, extra quests that, fit into the main quest line, I played them, and I'm like, oh, that's the reason why when they had to choose something to cut, there's a reason they chose these parts of the game to cut. It's kind of like if you watch movie, like deleted scenes from movies, you're like, I understand why they cut those scenes, because they truly were the worst or least important parts of the entire thing. And I'm like, great. And now I just incentivize them to keep this practice, as opposed to, there's a reason why you cut it and it shouldn't ever be in the game. Not that it was like horrible, but it's like, I understand why they cut it.
You don't pay DLC money for blah.
Yeah, exactly. If it's going to be DLC, it's got to blow my friggin' socks off, right?
Yeah, everyone knows they don't put out mediocre recolor reskins in the World of Warcraft mount section. They only put out the premium mounts. in the for sale. Oh, you want to earn something through playing? Well, that's going to be a mediocre reskin. You want to actually have something cool? Pay us $25.
Yep. All right. Well, we've been going for a while, so let's get everyone's sign out. Baggins, do you have anything you would like to promote?
Sandersonian Institute of Cosmere Studies, if you like Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere.
Perfect. Breakfast, anything for you?
It's a podcast.
I guess I'll just throw in another plug for Project 06. I like to see dedicated fans receive recognition.
Perfect. Kamizite, what do you got?
Steak.
Perfect. I love it. Lunisar.
You know what? Because I found a board game that Baggins hasn't played. I think I'll shout out Innkeeper's Table. Do you still do that? I don't even know.
We do.
Okay, yeah. So shout out for Innkeeper's Table and board games.
And then Mithril.
YouTube.com/MetroZenith. You know the drill by now. I do Fire Emblem stuff and occasionally some other stuff that taps into my more academic leaning side that nobody watches, and so I go back to be doing Fire Emblem content.
All right, and then you guys can find me on Twitch or Kick under the name Splicestream. We will be doing Amiibo Raid Boss Tower on Thursday, Video Game 20 Questions on, and plus Marbles on stream on Tuesdays. Plus the Fire Emblem has been going fun on Saturday mornings, so come for Straturday. It's great. Well, this is good.
Hey guys. I think we overlooked.